Hey everyone, have I here been a video on Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle. In this video, we're going to be discussing which 9-year anniversary LR is better, the Dokkan Festival exclusive full power Broly or the Carnival Gogeta Blue. So with that, if you're new to my channel, like, subscribe, comment below, do all that good stuff. Let's go ahead and dive right in. So the reason why I'm doing this, I normally don't do these types of videos here. I was asked multiple times by, not only my, DMs from Discord or Twitter. They're like, hey, you know what? I'm thinking about maybe summoning a little bit more before the Beast Gohan comes out. I'm like, well, you probably shouldn't do that. You should probably just wait for Beast Gohan. But, the step ups are going to be going away from basically from a week from when I'm recording this video here. And I want to try to at least maybe get a copy or get a dupe here. And they're like, which one is going to be higher value, which one's better. So I figured, okay, I will make my judgment here. And the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to look at a multitude of different aspects of the unit and then just basically say which one's better and then kind of tally it up and make my final judgment. So we're going to look at leader skill, we're going to look at super attacks, we're going to look at passive skill, we're going to look at the transform passive skill, links, active, their specialty, the categories, and then finally their stats. So we're going to put check marks on one side versus the other and then tally it up and then make a final judgment. So with that, let's go ahead and start with the leader skill. I think the leader skill is probably the easiest one out of the bunch because when you're looking at full power Broly here, you're looking at a triple double leader skill, right? You have super bosses, transformation boost, and full power at 170, and then your 200% boost is going to go from exploding rage and movie bosses. Now, of course, you don't have a guaranteed 200% across the board like the movie heroes in Gogeta, right? But again, I look for more opportunities to build different teams. And whereas you just only have one category at 200%, which is very strong, you have multiple categories to reuse from and make different teams. And I think it's just more valuable when you have other categories. Now, Super Bosses was exclusive when this came out on the JP version of the game, but of course, with the introduction of the physical Rose, you do have another Super Bosses category leader. So it's a little less valuable, but still, I think overall, very valuable with transformation boost and full power on top of that. So with that, I'm going to give the first check mark to the leader skill for the full power Broly. All right, let's go ahead and now move on to the super attack. Now, the super attack is very interesting because when you're looking at this, I want to look at this in this form and the transformation state as well. So when you're looking at the super attack for the Broly, right? So the Broly has this stacking ability on the 12 key for the SA multiplier. Then you have a raises defense for 1 turn, causes cost damage to the enemy, and then you have a greatly raises attack, and then greatly raises defense for 4 turns. So a mini stack here in terms of the 18 key super attack. Now the biggest difference is when you look at Gogeta, right? So Gogeta is greatly raises attack and defense for 1 turn, and then the 18 key is it stacks defense unconditionally. You can continue to stack and stack and stack. However, the situation, if you kind of combine the passive skill and then the transformation state on here, you're not going to be doing this 18 key super attack that many times because you want to transform as fast as possible at that 4th turn, right? So the value of this does go down. So when you transform, right, the stacking to the SA multiplier goes away for Broly, but then you still do have a greatly raises attack and defense for 1 turn, so no mini stack there either. So it's definitely weakened here. Yes, you can do all damage to all enemies, but who cares about that? But whereas I think with Gogeta, you do have a nice little increase of a mini stack here when it comes to massively raises attack, and then greatly raises attack and defense for 1 turn. So this is a tough one because I think if you were just looking at it on paper and not looking at like the transformation and this active skill here that goes along with the stack, I would just say stacking all day long, right? So go ahead and stack, 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 stack. But you really, because of the passive, you're going to run out of guard and then you're transforming here. You're not going to stack up too much here. So I think the value actually is going to go with Broly here, where you're going to continue to stack this 12 key until you do transform, which you do have a little bit of extra time to possibly needing to do that. But then you're also most likely doing additional super attacks So that 12 key super attack, you are going to get some additional benefit here from stacking your SA multiplier. So I'm going to give it a slight edge to the BROLY, but not by much, and a little bit different than the leader skill. But I think the super attack, I'm going to be giving it to the full power BROLY. Now let's go ahead and move on to the passive skill here. And the passive skill is going to be very, this is going to be the non-transformed passive skill. And I think this is going to probably go to BROLY as well, because when you look at the passive skill on both here, the BROLY has this nice interest animation. You have guard against all attacks with no turn restriction, right? You do have +1 a key sphere obtained, which is good. I think Gogeta maybe have a little bit better on there. But then you have all these opportunities for an additional super attack, especially first and second position. You're gonna have that guaranteed 1, and then you're gonna have possibly 2 come out when you're the third attacker of the turn. So there's some additional benefits that you can actually get here. You get a little bit of boost on defense here, and then this entrance animation does go away, but again, you're probably going to be transforming at that point in time as well. So I think this is just very strong, whereas Gogeta, it's also very strong as well, but your stats, it's a little bit higher, 154 versus 150, but that interest animation, it's attack and defense 100, key +5. You do this, get this 100% when doing a super attack here, but you're also going to get additional attack, 50% performing super attack, and then defense if it's alt. So you're going to get some boost there, whereas over here, you're not going to get anything else from that. You do have the +2 to key to rainbow key spheres, and then you have the opportunity to do a orb change, and then this additional guaranteed super attack here. So I guess it's a little bit closer than I expected, but I think I'm just going to give the edge to the BROLY because you have unmitigated guard against all attacks versus just the 3 turns there, and then that extra opportunity to do another super attack I think is very, very, very strong. So yeah, I think it's closer than I thought, but I'm going to give the edge to BROLY. So right now it's 3-0. I think Gogeta will start to get some check marks very, very soon. All right, so let's move on to the transform passive skill. So I think here's where Gogeta starts to shine, right? So once you transform, so one of the aspects here is you're going to transform into Super Saiyan BROLY, and then activate your domain with for 4 turns, and then you're able to do this from the 5th turn. So we'll talk about the transformation active skill in just a second. I probably should have put that first before the transform passive skill here. Whereas you're going to transform into the 4th turn. You know what? I'll give the check mark really right away right now, and that's the active skill to transform. We're giving that to Gogeta, so I'll just quickly do that. 4 turns is just better than 5, right? So it's just simple math in that case. But let's look at the transformed state. So you do have a huge, strong transform passive here, where you're getting attack and defense 300%, +6 to key. You're guarding against all attacks, plus additional key sphere, +1 a key. Reduces damage while your domain is up. So that's going to be for 4 turns for your domain there. Plus additional 50% to attack when attacking, additional defense after receiving attack, launches additional super attack guaranteed, some crit chance there, launches additional super attack and chance performing critical when performing a ultra super attack, and then launches additional super attack. A lot of super attacks, right? A lot of super attacks. So if you get enough super attacks off, you should have the ability to tank very, very well and do just quite a bit of damage, because you have a ton of stacking on this 12 key that raises the defense there. So should have enough stats there to do some tanking. However, Gogeta, on the other hand, has this crazy 4-turn benefit of recovering 54% HP, which is wildly powerful. You do have less attack and defense up front because it's 200%, yet you are effective against all types here. But when you're doing a super attack, you are going to get the additional 100% boost there. You can get +2 versus +1. And then you do a guarantee launches additional super attack. You have the orb change. You have another additional super attack with a Rainbow Keister obtained, which is going to be automatic there. But I think here's where the edge. There's two things here I think just gives Gogeta the edge, and that's having the great chance of evading enemy attacks. So what's better than damage mitigation? That's not getting hit at all, and having a 70% chance of doing that, and then getting the ability to also crit every time, 20% crit every time you evade an attack. You're going to be doing quite a bit of damage. And I think there's enough ability here when you greatly raises attack defense, when you're doing all these additional super attacks. If you do accidentally, that 30% chance you don't dodge, you can hold pretty good. Pretty good. If you lose a lot of HP, well, guess what? In the first 4 turns, you're going to recover 54% there. So I think there's some benefit here, but here's that additional edge. Is that great chance of nullifying a Ki Blast super attack, which is a lot of enemies, and then you're countering here. I think that just takes it over the edge slightly. They're both very good, very strong here, right? This is going to be highly tanky. You're going to do a lot of damage, a lot of different super attacks, especially when your Ki is 24. But you sometimes might have some aspects where you don't get the Ki at 24, but I think you're going to get every single super attack here. No problem, and then having that dodge ability, just a slight edge. So with that, I'm gonna give the check mark here to Gogeta, the transform passive skill here, but again, just with a slight edge, nothing overly major. But Gogeta now has 2 check marks versus those first 3 that went to BROLY. Now let's look at the link skills here. Link skills, they do change slightly. So the Gogeta goes into Warrior Gods instead of Golden Warrior. And then I think the BROLY here actually doesn't change, which I think that's a plus, right? The question is, which link skills do you like better? So you have Prodigy, Super Saiyan, Berserker, Shocking Speed, Prepare for Battle, Fierce Battle, Legendary Power. The key issue here is, how many other units are going to be, using these when it comes to super bosses, transformation boost, and full power, right? So this being a Super Saiyan, you're not going to be maybe running against other Super Saiyans. And then the key thing that you're missing here for this unit especially is big bad bosses. If this had big bad bosses, I think it would take the leader skill. But where it comes to Gogeta, you're going to find a lot of units that he's going to be running with. That's going to be Super Saiyan over in the Flash, Prepare for Battle, even Fuse Fighter and Fierce Battle. You're going to find quite a bit on that. So I think with that, I think Gogeta does take the edge on the link skills. So let's go ahead and move up here and give link skills to Gogeta. Now we are 3 and 3 when in terms of check marks here. The weight might be a little bit different. We'll talk about that in a second. So let's talk about the special skills, Domain versus Taunt. So let's look at that. Give me 1 second here. All right, so let's move on to the transform state here. So the Domain lasts for 4 turns. So you do have that ability there. So the Domain is going to give extreme class allies attack and defense 10%, which is strong, plus an additional attack and defense 10% for those who are exploding rage and movie bosses, which are quite a bit, and then increases damage received by super class allies by 10% and enemies by 10%. So if you're doing a blue zone, then that's going to be beneficial there. So very strong. I think domains are very strong, but of course the big negative to domains is that it doesn't stack, right? So if you're running another unit on the team that has another domain and that gets activated first, then you can't do yours. And in this case, that would not benefit BROLY that much because you're going to lose the reduction of the damage reduction since the domain is not activated. So whereas Gogeta, his little special skill, active skill here, once you transform, massively raises attack temporary, causes ultimate damage to the enemy, and then intercepts and evades all enemies attack. Guaranteed 100% for that 1 turn. You're going to taunt all attacks, and then you evade all of them. All right? That's just OP. Period. So this is pretty much a gimme for Gogeta. I think the special is now going to Gogeta here. So now you got 4 versus 3. let's go ahead and move on to the categories. So the categories is interesting because I think both have really strong categories. They're about the same, right? So you have, what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So if you just use number wise, you give it to Gogeta. But I think both of them are just really, really solid. But again, you know, the benefit of Gogeta here, just having just that extra one, this might be a tie, guys. The last two here, I don't think is as important. Let's look at the stats as well. So let's look at the stats here: 22, 5, 1, and then let's look at here 18, 21. Yeah, so you have more HP but less attack, a little bit more defense. Yeah, they're both just very similar. So I think when it comes to category and stats, we're gonna give basically check marks to both, right? Can you give a slight edge to Gogeta? Sure. Because of the one extra category, if you want to think about it that way. So now you have all these check marks here, right? So Gogeta is looking much better in terms of when he transforms. I think prior to transformation, full power BROLY is actually better. However, when he transforms, he's also very good as well. So now you have to look at in terms of value, right? In this unit. Yes, Gogeta has more check marks, but do I weigh the initial passive skill and leader skill a little bit higher than in terms of the transform passive skill, the link skills, or the other the special active skill, right? The special skill that they have, which again the taunt and the guaranteed dodge is tremendous. It's only for one turn versus the domain, it does last for 4 turns, so you have to look at that. So again, it's just very close to each other. But you're looking at more check marks in Gogeta here, but I'm going to weigh BROLY out a little bit more. So even though BROLY has one less check mark on here, I think I'm going to give the value for if I say, hey, you know what, or if you were going to ask me, you know, I'm going to do one more rotation before the step-up banners go away, which banner should I summon off of, and you're only looking for one unit in BROLY or Gogeta, I'm just going to say, you know what, BROLY's a little bit more valuable. Gogeta's amazing, you know, one of the top units you can definitely summon for right now in the global version of the game. But you're looking at like 1A, 1B, and I think right now BROLY's a little bit more valuable, being that Dokkan Festival exclusive LR versus that Carnival 1 category leader skill on there. But again, very, very close race. You're kind of splitting hairs a little bit. But if you're talking about check marks, I think Gogeta has slight edge on some check marks here when it comes to what we're talking about here. Even you can just give him categories as well because he has one more category. But overall, I think the value of the leader skill, the initial super attacks and stacking there, and then initial passive gives that BROLY just a little bit of a slight edge. And again, but when they both transform, they're both incredible. So there you have it. Hopefully that answered, you know, I'm leaning toward BROLY, even though Gogeta has a little bit more check marks. But I guess this is the reason why people ask me to at least make the comparison, because they are so close to each other when in terms of, you know, which one's better, right? So slight edge to BROLY, in my opinion. So with that, if you are new to my channel, like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Thank you all for watching. Keep on Dokkaning. We'll catch you next time. Later.